There are things the human mind was never meant to see. Not because they don't exist, but because once you see them, you can never look at the dark the same way again. I know this because something followed me home, and I'm not sure it ever left. My name is Charlie. I'm 26 years old. I work a normal job. I have a small apartment, a cat named Miso. I drink my coffee black. From the outside, I look like someone who has it together. But there are nights, still even now, when I wake up at 3 a.m. and I cannot move, cannot breathe, cannot scream. Because I am back in that room, back in the red light, and he is standing in the corner, waiting. Let me tell you how it started. Fort Worth, Texas. The kind of city where October arrives like a slow funeral. The air turns heavy, the trees go skeletal, and every year, without fail, the same haunted house opens up on the outskirts of town. People drive from hours away. My friends had been talking about it for weeks, texting in the group chat, sending videos, hyping it up like it was the event of the season. 6 of us decided to go. 3 guys, 2 girlfriends, and me. I was the odd one out. Always had been in some ways. What they didn't know, what I hadn't told any of them, was that I had been in therapy for 3 years, that I had PTSD, that certain sounds, certain lights, certain faces could send me somewhere I couldn't come back from easily. I told myself I was fine. I lied to myself a lot back then. Childhood. Handle with care. Very slow. Before I go further, you need to understand something about my father. He wasn't a ghost story. He wasn't a monster from a movie. He was real, flesh and blood, and that made him so much worse. He was a large man, broad shoulders, always wore dark colors. He had this way of filling a doorway, just standing there, that made the whole room feel smaller. When I was a child, I learned to listen for his footsteps. Heavy, slow, deliberate. I'd count them from my bedroom. 12 steps from the front door to the kitchen. 8 steps from the kitchen to the hallway. 5 steps to my door. I always knew when he was coming. He left when I was 10, just gone one morning. No goodbye. My mother cried for a week. I didn't cry at all. I just started sleeping with the lights on. 16 years later, I still do. Scene 4. The pre-game. Noah's backyard. Plastic chairs, string lights, someone's Bluetooth speaker playing music too loud for the neighbors. We smoked, we drank, laughed about things that didn't matter. I had 2 beers and told myself that was enough. Then someone passed the joint around. I rarely touch weed. The way it works on my brain, it opens doors that I spend the rest of my waking life trying to keep shut. It makes the shadows move, makes faces look wrong, makes me feel like something is watching me from just outside my peripheral vision. But everyone was doing it, and I was tired of being the careful one. So I took it. That was my first mistake. The alcohol and the weed hit me at the same time in the Uber. The city lights outside the window started to blur. Music from someone's earbuds leaked into the air like a distant heartbeat. I closed my eyes. I should have gone home. Scene 5. Arrival. The air changes here. The haunted house was set up in an old warehouse on the edge of the industrial district. Even from the parking lot, you could feel it. There was a line stretching around the building, maybe 200 people. Fake fog machines pumped low clouds across the asphalt. Somewhere inside, something screamed. Not an actor. At least, it didn't sound like one. My friends were buzzing with excitement, laughing, shoving each other, taking videos. I stood very still. Something about that building felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain. Not haunted house wrong, not theatrical wrong. Wrong. Like the air around it was slightly different, thicker, like the building was breathing. I told myself it was the weed. I told myself to get it together. We joined the line. Scene 6. Inside. The world closes in. The moment we crossed the threshold, the sound hit me like a wall. Screaming, industrial noise, actors bursting from hidden panels in the walls, strobe lights firing in rapid, disorienting bursts, fog so thick it swallowed your ankles. My friends screamed and laughed. I went very quiet. There is a specific thing that happens in my body when my nervous system starts to overload. My hands go cold first, then my hearing sharpens. Everything becomes too loud, too close. Then my vision narrows, like someone is slowly turning down the edges of the world. It was happening now. An actor, a man in a torn asylum jumpsuit, got right in my face, screaming, inches away, his breath hot and sour. I didn't flinch outward, but inside, something cracked. I kept walking. Keep moving. That's what you do. You keep moving and it ends eventually. Room after room, chainsaws, clowns, bodies hanging from meat hooks, a woman in a wedding dress with no eyes. All of it designed to frighten. None of it was what frightened me. Scene 7. The Red Room. This is the center of everything. Slow, deliberate, word by word. We turned a corner, and we entered the Red Room. Everything changed the moment I stepped inside. The air was different, warmer, heavier, like the room had been sealed for a long time and someone had only just opened it. Red light pulsed from above, not steady, but rhythmic, like a heartbeat. In the center of the room, a man in a bloodied suit and top hat screamed theatrical nonsense at our group, waving his arms, playing his role. The fog was thick here, knee-high, swirling slowly. My friends clustered together, laughing nervously. And I looked at the corner. I don't know why. There was nothing drawing my eye there. No movement, no sound. But something made me look. A man was standing in the corner. Not moving, not in costume, no makeup, no prop, no theatrical exaggeration. Just a man, in dark clothing, standing completely, impossibly still, staring directly at me. Not at the group, at me. The fog swirled around his feet. The red light caught the angles of his face. And my blood, I felt it. My blood went cold. I knew that face. I had memorized it as a child, the way children memorize things that frighten them. Every line, every shadow, the particular way his jaw sat, the way he held his shoulders, the way he filled the space around him like darkness given shape. It was my father, 16 years older, and he was smiling. Scene 8. The Scream. Raw. The sound that came out of me, I've never made that sound before or since. It wasn't a scream of surprise. It wasn't the scream you make on a roller coaster. It was the sound of a 10-year-old child who would spend years counting footsteps in the dark. It came from somewhere beneath language, beneath thought, beneath everything. The entire room stopped. The actor in the top hat went silent mid-performance. My friends froze. Someone touched my arm, and I pulled away so violently I hit the wall behind me. "What's wrong? Charlie, what's wrong?" I raised my hand, pointed to the corner. "It's my dad." Silence. One of my friends, Sarah, looked at the corner, then back at me. "Charlie, there's no one there." I looked. The corner was empty. Fog, red light, a blank wall, nothing. But I had seen him. I had seen him, as real and solid as anything I had ever seen in my life. My legs stopped working. Noah caught me before I hit the floor. The panic attack arrived like a storm that had been gathering for 30 years. Scene 9. Outside, cold air, aftermath. Noah got me out through a side exit. The cold air hit my face, and I bent forward with my hands on my knees, and I breathed. In, out. In, out. The sounds of the haunted house bled through the warehouse walls, muffled screams, muffled laughter. Noah didn't say anything for a long time. He just stood next to me with his hand on my back. Eventually, I straightened up. "I saw my dad," I said. Noah nodded slowly. He knew enough about my history. Not everything, but enough. "He's not here," he said quietly. "I know," I said, but I wasn't sure I believed it. We stood in the parking lot under the amber glow of a single streetlight until the others came out. No one made a big deal of it. No one pushed me to talk. We went to Wendy's. We ate in a booth under fluorescent lights, and someone made a joke, and a few people laughed, and I stared at my cup of water and counted my own breaths. I went home. I double-locked the door. I left every light in the apartment on, and I told myself it was over. It was not over. Scene 10, 3 a.m., The Nightmare. Slowest section of the entire script. I don't know what time I fell asleep, but I know what time I woke up. 3:17 a.m. I know because I looked at the clock. But first came the dream. I was back in the red room, exactly as it had been. The pulsing light, the fog at my feet, the smell, chemical and sweet and wrong. But this time, my friends weren't there. The actor in the top hat wasn't there. There was no one, just me and the corner. I didn't want to look at the corner. Every part of me screamed not to look. My dream self understood with animal certainty that looking at the corner would end something. Some last protection, some last membrane between me and whatever lived in that room. But I looked. Of course I looked. He was there, taller than I remembered. Or perhaps the room had grown smaller. He stood with his arms at his sides and his head tilted slightly, the way you tilt your head when you're studying something that confuses you. He took one step toward me. The fog parted around his feet. He took another, and another, until he was standing directly in front of me. So close I could have touched him. So close I could see the texture of his jacket, the particular shade of his eyes. He leaned down. His mouth moved. "Wake up, Charlie." Scene 11. The Waking. This is the horror. I woke up. My room. My ceiling. My apartment. Safe. Familiar. I exhaled. And then I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Slow. Deep. Rhythmic. Coming from the foot of my bed. My body went rigid. Every muscle locked. I could not move my arms. Could not turn my head. Could not do anything except stare at the ceiling and listen to that breathing getting slowly, incrementally closer. Then I felt it. A presence at the edge of my vision. I turned my head. He was standing over my bed. But not the way a man stands. He was bent. Folded. Like something too large trying to fit itself into a human shape. His arms hung too low. His neck curved at an angle that made my stomach collapse. His face was turned toward me, and his eyes were wrong. Not his eyes. Not anymore. Something else looking out through his eyes. Something that had been waiting a very long time. He reached toward me with one long, crooked hand. "Charlie," he said, and I screamed. Scene 12. The lights come on. My mother, she lives with me, has since her hip surgery last year, came running down the hall. The door flew open. The light came on. He was gone. Just gone. No one in the room, nothing disturbed. Miso the cat was sitting on the dresser, completely still, staring at the foot of the bed. Not at me, at the foot of the bed. My mother held me while I shook. She didn't ask questions. She just held me and turned on every light in the apartment. We sat at the kitchen table until sunrise. I never told her what I saw. Some things, once you say them out loud, become more real. Scene 13. The days after. Slow dread. In the days that followed, I tried to explain it away. The weed, the alcohol, the PTSD, the overstimulation of the haunted house cracking something open in my subconscious. Trauma does strange things to the mind. My therapist had told me that. The brain stores fear in the body. Sometimes it leaks out. I believed that. I tried to believe that. But there were things I couldn't explain away. The scratch marks on the hardwood floor at the foot of my bed. Long, parallel, 4 of them, like fingers, like something had been gripping the floor. And Miso, my cat, had slept at the foot of my bed every night for 3 years. Every single night, without exception. She has never slept in my bedroom again. I'm 26 years old. I sleep with 2 lamps on and a nightlight in the hallway. I don't smoke anymore. I barely drink. I've gone back to therapy, twice a week now instead of once. My therapist says what I experienced was a severe dissociative episode triggered by trauma, substances, and sensory overload. She's probably right. But sometimes, at 3 a.m., when the apartment is quiet, and the only sound is the hum of the refrigerator and the distant traffic, and my own breathing, I count. Old habit. 12 steps from the front door to the kitchen. 8 steps from the kitchen to the hallway. 5 steps to my door. And some nights, I hear them. The monsters that haunt us the most were never wearing costumes. They know our names. They know our rooms. And they know exactly how to find us in the dark.